Growing up, I can remember what Sunday dinners were like. They usually consisted of Mom slaving over the stove, preparing dinner, my brother and I running around playing, and Dad sitting in his chair watching football or whatever other sports were on the television at the time. Now I want you to close your eyes and picture two moms or two dads in the place where Mom and Dad once stood together. Last Friday, feeling a little bit shocked, aren't you? Last Friday's Supreme Court ruling legalized same-sex marriage and thus made that picture a reality. The traditional view of marriage has come under attack, and while homosexual marriage may be legal in this country now, it's still a disgrace to God and is damaging to the family. As a Christian American, I not only have the right to my religious beliefs, I have the right to stand and fight for those beliefs. As a husband and a future father, I also have the responsibility to raise my family the way that Christ intended it to be. The Supreme Court's ruling of MOV004 versus Hodges did more harm than good, due to the fact that it brought into question the credibility of the Supreme Court, threatened the religious liberties of many Americans, and brought harm to the family. Over the next several minutes, I hope to present an oral argument to persuade you that what the court did was actually damaging. First, by showing you how it damaged the credibility of the Supreme Court. Second, by showing you how it threatens the religious liberties of millions of Americans. And finally, by showing to you how it could devastate the family. Now let's get started. The Supreme Court ruling of MOV004 versus Hodges is damaging to the Supreme Court's credibility because the ruling allowed the court to actually make the law. The Article 3, Section 2 of the United States Constitution states, "The judicial power shall extend to all cases in the law and equity arising under the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and the treaties which should be made or shall be made under their authority." This is according to the Cornell School of Law's website. The job of the court is to enforce the laws, not make them. That's why we elect senators and congressmen. Chief Justice John Roberts writes in his dissent of MOV004 versus Hodges, "But this court is not legislature. Whether same-sex marriage is a good idea should be no concern to us. Under the Constitution, judges have the power to say what the law is, not what it should be." The Supreme Court, which brings me to my second point. The Supreme Court's ruling opened the door for religious liberties to come under the attack. The ruling of MOV004 versus Hodges seriously brings into question the religious liberties of millions of Americans. In its dissent, the Chief Justice writes, "Indeed, the Solicitor General candidly acknowledged that tax exemptions of some religious institutions would come into question if they oppose same-sex marriage. Keep in mind that Jesus clearly states in the Bible, 'Have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made male and female, and said for this reason that man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.'" In just a little over a week, since the ruling was handed down, Christians all over the country have been forced to choose between their religious beliefs and honoring same-sex marriages. Just as soon as the ruling came out, same-sex couples flocked to their local courthouse and tried to get a marriage license. Now this is forcing county clerks all over the country to choose between honoring God or the law. For example, two county clerks in Kentucky are under fire for not issuing marriage license. This is due to their religious convictions. One of those clerks is Miss Kim Davis. Miss Davis is quoted saying, "I am standing my ground, I am staying my course." This is according to an interview that Miss Davis gave to Caitlin LeBeau of WSAZ News Channel 3. It is also important to know that a person's religious beliefs are protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution. Which brings me to my final point. The Supreme Court's ruling was more than just an attack on the credibility of the court or a threat to religious liberty. because it's a devastating blow to the American families. As stated previously, the biblical definition of marriage is between one man and one woman. According to the research conducted by the Family Research Council, children do best when they are raised by their biological mother and their biological father, who are committed to lifelong relationships. Now you may be wondering what this has to do with same-sex marriage. The court's ruling in Overfield versus Hodges bestowed upon homosexual couples the same right as married heterosexual couples have. And now, since homosexual couples cannot procreate naturally, they have to adopt. The passing of this ruling makes this now possible, and thus allowing homosexual couples to start a family. Homosexuals cite that they are no different than heterosexual couples when it comes to the lengths of their relationships. However, research provided by Dr. Timothy Daly states that only 14% of homosexual partners stay together over a 10-year period, while married heterosexual couples stay together 66% of the time over a 10-year period. This means that this creates a better chance for children in homosexual families to grow up in a divorced or single-parent home, and this creates a troubled life for the child. In conclusion, I hope that over the past several minutes, you were able to see just how devastating the court's decision really was. That you were able to see that it endangered the Supreme Court's credibility, and how it attacks one's religious liberties, and how it hurts the American family. I pray that as Christians, we will stand together and stop being silent on the issues that go against the will of God. That we will pray for our country, and we will come together and commit to a life of living and sharing the gospel. Thank you for your time, and may God bless the United States.